Only a handful of men in all of human history have ever looked at the entire world of football, every nation, every general, every army, and beaten them all. Not one team, not one tournament, all of them. These men didn't just win the World Cup, they conquered it. They walked onto the biggest battlefield on Earth, where 50,000 soldiers from every corner of the planet had trained their entire lives to stop them, and they made it look like the rest of the world was standing still. Pelé, Maradona, Zidane, Ronaldo Nazário, Messi. 5 names, 5 emperors. And today, we are going to break down exactly how each one of these men conquered the world, what they did differently, how they fought, what made their campaigns unstoppable. Before we talk about the emperors, we need to understand the battlefield they had to conquer. The FIFA World Cup is unlike any other competition in football. Here is why it is so brutally difficult. At a club like Real Madrid or Barcelona, a manager has months, sometimes years, to train his team. Players learn each other's movements, they develop trust, they build a tactical system together, brick by brick. At the World Cup, you get almost none of that. You have a few weeks, a handful of training sessions, and then the war begins. Every team you face has been preparing specifically to beat you. Their coaches have studied your weaknesses. They have built tactical defensive shields designed to neutralize your best weapons. The format gives you no mercy. Lose in the final, you are forgotten. Draw in the wrong group game, you could be eliminated before the knockout rounds even start. 7 matches, 7 battles, each one could be your last. And here is the truly frightening part. The players who reach these moments are the best in the entire world. These are not ordinary soldiers. These are generals, every single one of them. To dominate in this environment, you cannot just be talented. You have to be something else entirely. You have to be an emperor. So let us meet them one by one and understand exactly what made each one of them different. Edson Arantes do Nascimento, known to the world simply as Pelé, was the first emperor. And his World Cup campaign was not just a victory, it was a 3-tournament conquest. Sweden. Pelé was 17 years old, a teenager on a world stage, playing against men who had trained for decades. He scored 6 goals, including 2 in the final. Brazil won. Chile. Pelé was injured early, but the system he had been part of, Brazil's famous 4-2-4 formation, was so well built that it could continue without him. This is important. A great emperor doesn't just conquer with his own sword. He builds an army strong enough to fight, even when he cannot lead. Brazil won again. Mexico. This was the masterpiece. Brazil's team that year is still considered by many experts to be the greatest international team ever assembled. They played with a joy and a freedom that made it look less like warfare and more like art. But do not be fooled by the beauty of it. Tactically, Brazil's 4-2-4 was an aggressive, high-risk system. 4 attackers, constant forward pressure, designed to overwhelm the opponent before they could set their defensive shield. And at the center of it all, Pelé, scoring, assisting, creating, reading the battlefield before anyone else could see what was happening. Brazil won the 1960 World Cup without losing a single match. Pelé scored 4 goals in the tournament and assisted 6 more. 3 World Cups, 3 conquests. The first emperor. Emperor 2, Diego Maradona. Now we move to 1986, Mexico City, and we talk about the most single-handed World Cup conquest in history. Diego Maradona did not have the greatest team in that tournament. Argentina were good, but they were not dominant. What they had was Maradona, and in football terms, that was enough. Think of it this way. Most teams attack with 5 or 6 soldiers moving together, a coordinated push across multiple fronts. Argentina in 1986 launched almost every attack through one man. Maradona was not just the playmaker, he was the decoy, the finisher, the creator, the defensive disruptor when Argentina was under pressure. He was an entire army inside one human body.
The quarterfinal against England became the most famous match in World Cup history. 2 goals, both from Maradona. The first, punched in with his hand, controversial, illegal, brilliant in its audacity. The second, a 60-meter solo run from inside his own half, going past 5 English defenders and the goalkeeper, the most individually brilliant World Cup goal ever scored. But here is the tactical truth of that second goal that people miss. Maradona didn't just run fast, he changed direction 14 times in 11 seconds. Each change of direction was a decision, a micro-ambush, forcing each defender to reset, to readjust, to commit, and then he was already past them. It was not magic, it was chess at full speed. Argentina won the World Cup. Maradona was the reason, completely, undeniably the reason. The second emperor.
Emperor 3, Zinedine Zidane, France, 1998, home soil. Zinedine Zidane, a French son of Algerian immigrants raised in the tough neighborhoods of Marseille, became Emperor number 3. But Zidane's conquest was built on the most perfectly engineered tactical structure of any World Cup winner. France's manager, Aimé Jacquet, built a 4-2-3-1 formation that was essentially a 2-part machine. Part 1, a defensive fortress, 2 defensive midfielders, Deschamps and Petit, sitting deep, protecting the back 4, making France almost impossible to score against. Part 2, Zidane, operating in the space in front of that fortress, free, uncaged, given the license to go wherever he wanted, do whatever he wanted. This is a classic military tactic. Build an impenetrable defensive shield at the back, and then send your most dangerous weapon forward with maximum freedom. Zidane was the weapon. His movement was unlike anyone else. He didn't run fast. He glided. He seemed to have more time than everyone around him because he was always thinking 2 moves ahead. In the final against Brazil, the defending champions, one of the most powerful football armies ever assembled, Zidane scored twice with headers, both from corners. France won 3-0. Zidane was magnificent, controlling, calm, like a general who had already won the war before the first shot was fired. Emperor 4, Ronaldo Nazário. Now we talk about redemption, and one of the most powerful comeback stories in football history. Ronaldo Luis Nazário de Lima, the Brazilian, the phenomenon. In 1998, Ronaldo was supposed to be the weapon that won Brazil the World Cup. He was the best player in the world, unstoppable. But on the night of the final, something happened. Ronaldo suffered a mysterious seizure just hours before kickoff. He was taken to hospital. His name was removed from the team sheet, then added back at the last minute. He played, but he was not Ronaldo. France won 3-0. For 4 years, that night sat on Ronaldo's shoulders like a weight made of stone. And then came 2002, Japan and South Korea, the World Cup nobody expected. Brazil built their attack around Ronaldo as the central spearhead, a single striker operating between the opposition's defensive lines, moving constantly, dragging defenders out of position to create space for those around him. Think of it as a classic military tactic. Build an impenetrable defensive shield at the back, and then send your most dangerous weapon forward with maximum freedom. Ronaldo was the weapon. His movement was unlike anyone else. He didn't run fast. He glided. He seemed to have more time than everyone around him because he was always thinking 2 moves ahead. In the final against Brazil, the defending champions, one of the most powerful football armies ever assembled, Zidane scored twice with headers, both from corners. France won 3-0. Zidane was magnificent, controlling, calm, like a general who had already won the war before the first shot was fired. Emperor 5, Lionel Messi, Qatar, 2022. 35 years old, one final campaign. Messi had everything a footballer could ever want. 5 Ballon d'Or trophies, Champions League titles, La Liga dominance, but no World Cup. And without it, in the minds of many, the story was incomplete. Day 1 of Qatar. Saudi Arabia. Argentina lost. Shock, chaos, panic. Day 2. Messi reorganized. Poland won. Australia won. Netherlands quarterfinal. War. Messi scored, set up goals, then walked to the spot for the shootout, looked at the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper looked away first. Messi scored. Argentina won. Croatia semifinal. Messi 1 goal, 1 assist. Clinical, cold, like a general executing a plan he had rehearsed 1,000 times. Final. Argentina versus France. 2-0. Mission almost complete. Then, Mbappe launched a counterattack of devastating speed. 2 goals in 90 seconds. The defensive shield cracked. Equalizer. Extra time. Then, 3-3. Penalties. Messi walked up first. He placed the ball. He did not look at the goalkeeper. He never does. He scored. And when Gonzalo Montiel converted the final kick, Messi's arms spread wide. His head fell back. His eyes closed. The 5th emperor had finally conquered the world. 5 men, 5 different countries, 5 different eras, 5 completely different playing styles. And yet, when you study all 5 emperors together, one truth emerges so clearly that it is impossible to ignore. None of them were just talented. Talent is common in football. Every single player at a World Cup is talented. Every defender who tried to stop Maradona was talented. Every goalkeeper who faced Ronaldo Nazário was talented. What separated the emperors was not talent. It was their relationship with pressure. When the stadium was the loudest, when the opponent was the toughest, when the entire world was watching and one mistake could end everything, these men got better, not worse, better. Like soldiers who fight harder when the battle is at its most dangerous. That is what conquering the world actually requires. Not just skill on a training pitch, not just goals against average opposition, but the ability, under the most extreme pressure imaginable, to rise, to impose your will on the battlefield, to refuse to lose. Pelé did it 3 times. Maradona did it almost entirely alone. Zidane did it with ice-cold elegance. Ronaldo Nazário did it after suffering the most public defeat of his life. And then Messi did it at 35, in what many people said was his last chance. 5 different journeys, 5 different campaigns, 1 shared result. Total conquest. Now, here is your question for today. Who is the greatest World Cup emperor of the 5? Pelé for 3 trophies? Maradona for doing it almost single-handedly? Zidane for tactical perfection? Ronaldo Nazário for his redemption? Or Messi for winning it at the very last moment of his career? Drop your answer in the comments and tell me why. I want to read every single opinion, because this debate has no wrong answer, only different truths. And if this kind of deep dive football analysis is what you came here for, subscribe right now. Every week, we go further, deeper, and more cinematic than anyone else in this space. The next emperor is waiting.